You are looking live at a daily chart of the Nasdaq. A glitch here on market surge. Perhaps it's we can blame it on CrowdStrike. It only goes up to the 18th here. Anyway, welcome to my weekly review. Like I said, you're looking at a daily chart of the Nasdaq, but it only goes up to the 18th. So it was down 125 points. That's Thursday. Then on Friday, it was down another 144 points. So right here, it shows that it's 2.7% above the 50, but after Friday's action, it's only 1.7% above the 50. So it could get there in a nanosecond on Monday. Anyway, you can see the break here, the low on the 16th there of 18,386. It broke hard on Wednesday, and the high is 8,223. So there's a gap that needs to be filled there at 386. I suspect it'll get filled at some point, but it's probably going to go lower before it goes higher. My expectation is it'll come down to the 50, much like it did in the prior rally here. You can see the Nasdaq, how it's going to correct and digest these gains either through time, which it did here, a lot of time going sideways, and then by price, and where it sliced the 50, made the low April 19th, and we had this nice rally. Now recently it starts to correct via time and then price. So yeah, I mean, my expectation is it'll visit the 50 here. 1.7% is not a big deal. A sell-off in the tech stocks ahead of their earnings reports is kind of expected. I mean, if you're from Missouri, they say you got to show me. So these tech stocks have to show that they're having earnings and sales growth. And Google and Tesla report this week. That'll be market moving. Looking forward to that. Anyway, that's a daily chart of the Nasdaq. This is a weekly review, so I want to get to the weekly charts. I'm going to hide this thing. It's bugging me. All right, on the weekly, you can see it was down 672 points, or 3.65%. You can see that pullback to the let's get track price on here to really get an accurate look at this here on the weekly. Down near its 8 8-week average. Okay, so and it's close to the 10, which is similar to the 50 SMA. Anyway, you could see that it was down 72 points, or 3.65% last week. But on the monthly, July is typically a pretty strong month seasonally, but now it's down slightly, 5 points on the month. So we'll see what the rest of the month has to offer. Anyway, yeah, like I said, the Nasdaq has that gap to fill here. I suspect it'll fill it at some point, but we're just going to have to wait, be patient, get through earnings season, and take it one day at a time. All right, I got to go to the IWM, because the IWM was the strong index there for a while. You can see how it ran up, and now it's pulled back, but it's still above, its 10 EMA. And like, once again, now this one does have the 19th on it. I don't know why the Nasdaq doesn't, but it's still 1.2% above this rising 10. So the IWM is very strong. And then we have the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which made a new high and then pulled back on that's got the 18th too. So pulled back on Thursday, made that high of 41,376, and it was down on Friday. A lot of stuff going on, just with CrowdStrike, a lot of stuff in the news, a lot of uncertainty, and the market doesn't like uncertainty. So and then we have earnings coming up, so a lot of reasons to sell, take some profits ahead of the earnings reports. And the last one I wanted to show was SPY, another break. This one does have the 19th Friday. Yeah, they were all down, but it does have this break here. Just want to point that out, where it made the high of a 565 there, been pulled back. The low of that session was 562. And so it's got a gap to fill there. The high was 560.51. So that gap will be filled at some point. We don't know when, but the SPY is 1.7% above its 50, just like the Nasdaq. Anyway, those are the indexes. I don't trade the indexes. I trade stocks, and I'm looking at these mega cap tech stocks, which are being sold, as a rotation into other areas, which I'll get to in a minute. But the Apple just pulled back to its 21 last week. And then on Friday, it was pretty much flat on the session. But Yeah, Apple looks strong, but you know, they're going to report earnings on August 1st. So there's caution ahead of earnings. Microsoft, you know, it had the real bad news on Friday with CrowdStrike, and it pulled back to its 50. And they're going to report on the 29th. So, you know, these reports are coming up and they're going to move the markets. Microsoft closed right at its 50. Meta, Meta's sliced its 50 last week. And, you know, to me, that's a sell sign. It was 6% below its 50. If I zoom in there, you can see that a little better. 6.1%. So to me, that's adios muchachos. It'll probably take some time for it to get back up there. That could act as resistance, or maybe when they report earnings on the 31st, it'll just blast right through it. You got to be open-minded and flexible in the market. Your best ability is flexibility. This is Google or Alphabet. They're reporting on Tuesday after the bell. And this one, it's the 19th. Okay, it pulled back, closed just a tick below its 50. But, you know, the earnings report is going to move this stock one way or the other. Amazon had the big Prime Day and just, you know, sliced its 50 once again on Thursday. We're going to see a lot of this today, 2.1% on Thursday. And then on Friday, it closed 2.4% below its 50. So, yeah, they're going to report on the first as well. Tesla, they're reporting Tuesday with Alphabet. So that will be market moving. This has been a strong stock recently. But on Friday, it traded below its 10, and it's 3.5% above its 21. So the earnings report is going to move this stock one way or the other. All the moving averages are, you know, trending north here, the 10, the 21, and the 50. So we'll just have to see what they have to say. And then the last one of the mega cap tech stocks is NVDA. And this one had the big move. You know, it moved 45% on this from trough to peak, and now it's pulled back near its 50 on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If you take a look at like a 5-minute chart, you can see how it keeps coming down to this 116 area and testing. It came down here, the low is 116.72, then it retested it here the next day, 116.56, and then on Friday, 117. I believe it got down to 116, maybe not. Okay, but you can see the low and then the retest and then another. So, you know, the shorts are, if it can't be pushed below this level, then guess what? Probably going to go the other way. So I'm going to watch for this one next week. Obviously, it's going to be affected by the Google and Tesla reports because they kind of trade as a cohort. But I want to get to some of the other stocks because Taiwan Semiconductor reported last week. Good report, you know, as you can see, the strong sales and earnings growth, but it just sold off. Wall Street was just in the mood to sell last week. This is down nearly 12%. Yeah, traded below its moving averages, but you know, all a company can do is deliver the numbers, and Wall Street's going to do what it wants to do. The semiconductor manufacturing group is not strong like the other group, the fabless group that NVIDIA is in, but it's just pulled back to its 50 following earnings. There's nothing wrong with that. There is something wrong with AMD. My goodness, it was down 7 days in a row, sliced its 50. And now on Friday, it traded it closed 7.4% below the 50. So probably going to take some time to rally back through there. We're going to have to wait and see. They have earnings on the 30th. So yeah, you know, it was forming this nice little base here. It looked pretty good, building the right side. And then it just, like I said, the last 7 days have just fallen out. So AMD does not look good. Qualcomm, another one in the fabless space, which is, you know, in the top 10 groups here, but man, there's some weak stocks here. Another one below the 50, Qualcomm, 8.2% below the 50, and that's just an avoid for me. It's a weekly, yeah, I mean, down 8% in a week, you know, that's rough. But with the index down nearly 4%, like I say, you could expect these stocks to be down 2 to 3 times that, and that's what happens. So yeah, stairs up and the elevator down. One that I like in the semiconductor fabless group is PI, and you can see why here. This one's above its moving averages. It's formed this little base here, pulled back to its 10 on Friday. It's still 1% above its 10. Obviously, they have earnings this week. What is that, Wednesday, the 24th? So heads up there. It could be a trap door or it could be a catalyst for higher prices. So I'm definitely watching PI next week. And ARM is another one that had a breakout and it rallied up to what, 188. Now it's pulled back below its 21 here, but still above its 50. Had a little inside day on Friday, and it's 12.8% above that 50. So still a strong stock, and anything above the 50 right now is a pretty strong stock. It's got that old buy point at 164 where it's trading there. This is a volatile stock. They report on the 31st. You have to be aware, cognizant of when your stock are reporting earnings because they are market moving, and we've seen some real crashes and we've seen some real gaps higher. Vertiv, they're going to report Wednesday again. So Wednesday is going to be an active day, Tuesday and Wednesday. This one's been trading below its 50 and just forming a base. I mean, it had the big run. It formed a base here and ran for nearly 10 months, made that high at 109, and now it's formed a base since what, May 24th. So that one looks pretty decent, except for it's below its 50. But these things can rally, back above their 50 and make new highs in a hurry. It just depends on their earnings reports and how the markets react to them. SMCI, top stock in a top group, but just forming a base here. This is just marking time. They're going to report August 6th, I guess. So I'm just watching this one. I believe if the AI revolution is going to be as big as everyone says it is, then this should be, it's a data center pure play. It should be a big winner, and it has been a big winner. But right now, just marking time, forming a base. On the weekly, you could see that it was down 12.5% last week. That's a nice haircut. Pretty painful on the market last week, and a lot of stocks. Dell didn't escape the carnage, sliced its 50 there. This is why I sell them when they slice their 50. So when did it slice its 50? On the 12th, and the next day, it's down nearly 2%. The next day, more than 2%. The next day, it's almost 7%. So that's too painful for me. I can't take that pain. I'm a wuss. This is down nearly 10% last week. So yeah, it's adios muchachos. I'm not playing that game where you're hoping for your stock to come back, because it's just too painful. Camtech down 16%. So it was 4 times the index. What a painful week for this one. Sliced its 10, sliced its 21, sliced its 50, and closed on Friday 3.5% below its 50. Earnings coming up on the 7th, but look at those big volume bars there for Camtech. Wow, that's rough. All right, I'm going to move on. I'm going to more gruesome stuff. I'm taking you down the negative road first, and I'll bring you back on the positive path. Hopefully, we'll see something positive here. Micron formed this base, broke out, made a high at 157, and then last week, once again, when it sliced that 50 there, it's 3% below the 50, and you say, oh, it's going to rally the next day. Nope. And more selling, 9% below, and closed Friday 13% below its 50. So that's just, like I said, it's just too much pain. So we can always buy them back. That's why, that's just my rule. 14.5% loss last week. So 3 times the index. That is pain. WDC, another one of these computer data storage, which has been a real strong group. But man, last week they were selling these things. You see the big volume and the big break here on the 17th, which was what, Wednesday, closed Friday, nearly 8% below the 50. Just too much pain. 11, almost 12% loss last week. Another one is STX. They're going to report this week. That was only down 4%, much like the index. They're reporting the 23rd, which is Tuesday. This one's holding up better than the others here, right around the 21. So we look forward to hear what they have to say. And then Pure Storage is another one that's been a real strong stock in the group. Slice it's 50. And like I said, just too much darn pain. Down nearly 10% last week. So it was a painful week. they're not going to report for a while till August 21st. All right, now I got to get to the drug stocks. Eli Lilly. This is one where, I was asked about, well, it's sliced, it's 50, you're going to sell it, right? On Thursday. Well, it barely closed below it, right? So, this is where, it's more art than science, where you hold on to this and hope the next day it rallies back up, and it closed Friday just a tick above the 50. So this one's just barely hanging on. I do not like this. First of all, let's go back, Marty. Lilly was up 12 weeks in a row, 34% gain when it broke out of this double bottom base. 12 weeks in a row, 34%, right? But in 1 week, it gives a third of that back. 11%, just diving lower. And that's the stairs up and the elevator down. Is the selling over? I don't know. We're going to have to find out. I believe when they report earnings, they're going to have strong earnings on August 8th. But, this thing could sell off and dive further next week. One that I'm watching closely, it's a leader in the weight loss drug stocks. I think longer term, they're going to be a big winner for years and years. It's just short term. Like I say, you can always buy them back if they want to head much lower. So Novo, its partner, did not do as well. It sliced its 50 on Wednesday, closed 2% below. The next day, 6% below, had an inside day on Friday, but trading below the 50 is no bueno. Adios muchachos for this fella. It was down 7.5% last week. We had that one on our ready list as it had this cup with handle breakout. And then it had, if I go to the weekly, excuse me for toggling back and forth, it had like 5-week tight area. It was really 6 weeks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then fell out last week. Like I said, 7.5%. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna get into that one. It just had a bad week. AMGN, one that looks a lot better. This one had the, cup with handle, and it really, hasn't really broken out yet. If you look at the weekly, it probably shows it a little better here. Just starting to push away from its base. It was, flat last week, essentially. The prior week had a good week, 6.5% flat last week, which is good when the Nasdaq's down, as it was, nearly 4%. So Amgen looks pretty good. A sponsor of our Open Championship leader right now, Shane Lowry. So good on Amgen. All right, that's enough for the drug stocks. For I lie. I do want to point out TGTX. This is TG Therapeutics. I think they're going to have a strong earnings report. This guy, the CEO, is just going to announce on Monday night that they're going to report earnings on a Tuesday. That's the way he does it. Just hey, we're reporting earnings, and he tries to blow the shorts out of the water. I think he will this time. You can see this one here, setting up in this base here, pulled back slightly last week, not even 1%, trading right near its 10 EMA, close a tick above it. This one looks really good. Nice base here, stage 1 base. I believe this one's going to break out with the strong earnings report, but just got to wait and see. Like I said, if you're from Missouri, you got to show me. Anyway, more pain ahead. I've got to get to this. I'm just going to go through these quickly. I mean, you can look at the charts. Slice to 50. This is sweet green. The retail restaurant groups have felt the pain of the rotation, like the tech stocks. They're kind of richly valued, and they got some profit taking. There's a lot of profits to take here, and investors were taking profits in these ones. This is CAVA. Sliced its 50 as well. It was down more than 5% last week. This is 2 weeks in a row here of selling. And CAVA, DPZ, Domino's, oh man, that's a bad week. Down 18%. I think they reported earnings, and somebody didn't like them. And everybody likes pizza. Come on. But man, that's a rough week. So sorry for the longs there. Wingstop, which had been doing so well, another richly valued stock, sliced its 50, down only 2% last week. So Wingstop doing better than most, but below the 50. It's adios muchachos. They report earnings on July 31st. CMG, since they split 50 for 1, it's just been downhill. Just too much supply. And this one's trading down near its 200 SMA, just, 2%, a little over 2% above it. You can see here, since the 50 for 1 split, it's just nothing but downhill. So it did close right there around its 40-week line, just a tick above it. So Chipotle looks bad, but you know what looks good is Bros, Dutch Bros taking market share. All anecdotal, information is that the younger set likes Bros, and they're switching from Starbucks to Bros. So Dutch Bros is doing really well. Pulled back to its 50, found support there, and then had an inside day on Friday. There you can see it's pretty much it made that low of 36.24. Anybody get it there below the 50, and then it closed above it. And then Friday had that inside day up 1.32%. Bros looks pretty decent. They report August 7th. All right. Any more pain? Yes. The shoe group, which was really strong. It was a top 5 group just a few weeks ago, and now it's moving up towards, it's going the wrong way. You can see Decker's, one of the leaders, just selling off below the 50. They're going to report this week on the 25th. Nike is the big kahuna in the group, and it's just a dog trying to form a bottom here. Trying to find a bottom. We'll see. 41% off its 52-week high. Just a bad week for the shoe group. Crocs sliced to 50 in a downtrend, just week after week of selling. It was down 4% last week. I don't know. Skechers, they report this week. I think same day as Deckers, below the 50. You can see the moving averages curling down, just a downtrend for Skechers. And then ONON, for some reason, traded below the 50. And that's why I say you got to be flexible here. Trades below the 50, makes a low there at 36.05, then rallies back through. So that is not following the trend of the others in the shoe group. And you can see it's just consolidating here in a base. And it was up 6.8% last week. So all is not lost. A couple others that I had on my leading stock list, and Abercrombie and Fitch sliced to 50 there, down 8.5% last week. Adios muchachos. Same with Elf, down nearly 16%. It was set up in the base. You could see like prior bases, it set up and ran higher, set up, ran higher, and then set up here, and just you gotta be flexible. And for me, that's a clean break on Wednesday, 9.1% below the 50. So that's why you got to get out. And maybe it'll rally back up with earnings on the 8th, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. Like I said, you got like on holdings traded down there below for a couple of sessions and then rallied back through. So you just got to be open-minded and flexible in the stock market. Okay, more pain ahead. Spotify below the 50. The software group not doing all that great. Only down 2.3% last week. CrowdStrike, everybody heard the news on CrowdStrike, and this is a void for me. Down 18% last week. Heck no. Yeah, this is just a vertical violation, and you just got to stay away from that. Yeah, that's some real damage to their brand. I know a lot of people want to buy this and buy this falling knife, but that's not my style at all. I want to see it form a bottom and see some buyers come in and have some strength, buy on strength. Don't, like I said, don't try to catch a falling knife. I know some people who are, but that's just not my style. Zscaler got hit as well. Just the group got hit. When you see a failure like that, that was down nearly 7% last week. And then I have to include ServiceNow, which was just flat last week. They're reporting earnings on the 24th, which is Wednesday. So it's going to be a real busy week next week. And Wednesday is going to be an especially busy day. All right, that's enough for the bad news. All that, terrible. We want good news. We got to go to the oil and gas stocks. This is Weatherford setting up in a base here. Looked like it was, breaking out and going to run away and have a nice gain, but it pulled back to its 10. I think that's actionable right there. These oil and gas stocks, they kind of trade together in a group, but you can see it's a stage 2 base, cup with handle, still actionable. Looks pretty good on the weekly chart. That is Weatherford, a oil and gas machinery and equipment name. In the Tidewater, once again, I think this is another actionable stock. This one was up 4.5%. While there was blood in the streets last week, this one performed well. So you got to take, you got to just recognize that. And I still think this one's actionable as well. Is it traded above, its downtrending line there? And if you go like that, okay, yeah, closed below it, but it traded above it. All right, so that's why I say it's one to watch if it can get through that area, maybe that 108 area. VNOM was another one that was on our ready list last week. Had a great week. You see it broke out of that base there, and that's what you kind of want to see from VNOM. And it's been strong for a while since it traded above its this downtrend line here, broke above it, and it kind of went sideways a little bit, little volume contraction, and then broke out. So Viper looks pretty darn good. And on the weekly, you can see it was up 8%. So congrats to the longs who took that at mcstockcharts.com. It's good to be a little diverse here in this market, be open-minded, flexible, and just, be flexible. Yeah, like I say, your best ability is flexibility. KGS was having a good week and then pull back on Friday, but you can see it's still in this base on base pattern, up 3 1/3% last week. And yeah, Friday had a bad day, nearly down 3%, but pull back to its 10-EMA. I still think this is actionable. I like the group right now. Some of the other names that did well, the Steel Group, CRS, if I could type properly. This one broke out of a consolidation pattern and then pulled back. So this one, let's take a look at it on the weekly. Yeah, there's your breakout, up 7.5%, while the rest of the group was kind of struggling. The Steel Group now is one of your top groups, steel specialty alloy. This is ATI flat on the week, but I'm definitely watching this group because it's showing strength. This is MTUS Metallis, and this one was up 7% last week. So yeah, just recognizing strength there. This is WS Worthington Steel, and it was up 4.5% last week. Looks like a little bit of a breakout on the weekly. Yeah, very, very nice looking chart there for WS. Another group that we had last week, Jackson Financial. This is an insurance group. It had a good week, but pulled back pretty sharply on Thursday. Let's take a look at the weekly here. You can see the cup shape and then the breakout last week, 5.5%. So we had some good stocks, some big winners last week, but I had some losers too. It's hard to avoid, when there's that much carnage in tech. Cincinnati Financial, it was flat on the week. Still looks pretty decent to me in this consolidation pattern. Had that 4% drop on Friday, though. So they're going to report the 25th, which is Thursday. So you got to be mindful of this. And then PGR was another one in the insurance group that they reported earnings last week. Kind of had a little wobble following earnings and then gathered steam and then pulled back on Friday, but still well above its 10 EMA here. So the insurance group looks pretty good to me as well. Up 1.5% above its 10. So, all right, a couple other groups that I'm going to get to. I'm just trying to, be positive here, bring you back home on the positive path. TMDX, this thing's going sideways, but, above its 54.3% above its 50 and 1.3% above the 21. They're going to report on the 31st. That one looks pretty decent, up 3.5% on the week, while the rest of the Nasdaq was falling apart. So that you got to acknowledge the strength here in this medical product, medical systems equipment group. This is Intuitive Surgical. They reported earnings up 2.5% last week. You can see the move on Friday. Pull back to the 50 prior to earnings. They reported Thursday and then up nearly 10% on Friday. So congrats to the longs there. LNTH, Lantheus, they had good news the prior week. Had a heck of a week. I got to show you this weekly chart. That looks like a short stroke pattern. 124.90. It eclipsed that a little bit the following week, but and gave back 5%. But Lantheus looks good to me as well. Strong stock. And they're going to report on the 31st. All right, the last group, Coinbase, we had on our ready list as well. I still think this is actionable, and I like it above, it would trade above its, this downtrend line above that 260 area. It did on Friday, closed above it. I want to say it ran up to above 260, 259.80. Okay, so I'm going to watch this one next week. Coinbase showing strength, and on the week it was up, 18% on a crappy week. We're going to take that all day long. And you could see on the weekly, trading above that downtrend. So looks to me like it's trending higher. Look at that relative strength line. Coinbase is definitely one to watch. Next week, MSTR, another one of these, crypto plays. The cryptos were really strong. Once again, same as Coinbase. Looks like it's breaking above this downtrending line area here for MSTR. I like that one. I wouldn't wait till it got way up here to 2000. I think that's actionable right now. Obviously, you gotta see what's happening with the digital currency markets. This is HUT. It was up 15% last week. I forgot to show you the advance on 27%. I mean, that's a good week, right? We'll take that all day long. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching, except for I have one more thing, and that's these regional banks, the small regional banks. KRE is the exchange traded fund, and you can see last week was up 7.5%, breaking out of this consolidation pattern, and it's been strong for a few weeks now. So you got to watch and acknowledge, and don't ignore this type of move here. I know some people don't like trading banks or owning the small banks, but to me these look good. HBAN, they reported on Friday or Thursday. I think it was Friday morning. Nice response, up 4%. This is another one that was on our ready list last week. So we had some quality stocks. We had some good moves last week, but we also had some stinkers as well with and the Novo Nordisk was on there, which was not too good. But we did have some good names last week. And CLS was one that bombed as well. A couple others in the KRE, excuse me, I digress. This is Bank OZK, Southeast Bank, regional bank, up nearly 6% last week. So just acknowledging the strength here. Okay, this is just my one more thing. Acknowledge strength. SNV up 6% last week. They don't report. I think they just reported, so they don't report till October. So that is out of the way. COLB. This is Columbia Banking System. They trade a couple million shares a day. And it's a $23 stock. So this one to me, you can see the big break here. Made a low, retested the low, formed a bottom. Now it's forming the right side of a base. And if you look at the weekly chart, that looks pretty good to me here. Broke above its downtrend line, traded up 9% last week, while pretty much the rest of the market fell apart. So this is what they're rotating into: the crypto, the steel, the oil and gas, the banks. Just acknowledging this rotation. This is Webster, our friend Mike Webster's financial group. Let me see, it was up 2.5% last week. Not bad for Webster. Reports the 23rd, which is Tuesday, so beware. And I got a couple more. TFC is another one that just broke out of that base here. So just acknowledging the strength, up 5% last week. I think we'll all take 5% in a week, won't we? And then RF Regions Financial is my last one, broke out, up 8% last week. So will these, be strong again next week? Well, we don't know. They could rotate right back into technology after the Alphabet and Tesla report. So you just got to be aware of all these reports coming up. We've got some the shoe group reporting, we got the banks reporting, we got technology reporting, just a lot of stuff going on. So like I said, be flexible and open-minded. At an mcstockcharts.com. We never give up. Thank you for watching.